Breath of the Wild? Who here has 100%ed Breath of the Wild? Alright, found the single people. Who here has played Age of Calamity? Who here has finished Age of Calamity? Alright, found the Casanovas. Who here has played Tears of the Kingdom? Who here has no life? Found the people who beat Tears of the Kingdom. How you guys doing today? Yeah. This is the Revali Q&A hour with special guests Amelia and Joe Hernandez. No, I'm just kidding. It's good to have you all here. I hope you're enjoying your convention so far. I'm trying to remember where we are right now. Virginia. Virginia's a great place. No, I was going to say Pennsylvania. I don't know. It's the same vibes. Pennsylvania, you could walk places. It was pretty nice. I had some shawarma last night. It was really good. Yes. Yes, we can share.
Gotta be gentle.
We've already been smooching.
Can I get my own?
Listen, this man, you see a man in a shirt like this, I'm already gay, okay? It's just how it works.
This is way too closer to Sean's face than I would like to be. I'll have you know.
Would you prefer to be my ass instead?
No. So, what do you guys want to talk about? What's going on? What's happening? Are you guys having a good con so far? Been fortunate enough to have met several of you guys so far. I've come up to the tables, and some of us have already had our autograph signing, so it's been great to meet you all and hear your stories and your experiences with the Zelda franchise so far. So it's been awesome. Yeah.
I'm scared because my sleep paralysis demon is just standing there menacingly in the back of the room. It's like, I know I sold my soul to the devil to get that role. I didn't think you'd come to claim it so soon.
Whenever you're ready. Do you guys just want to dive into some Q&A or something? Since we got everybody here, we have the lovely and talented Amelia right here.
You will not be bothered if most of your questions are directed at her because
It's
been a while since you've been at events, right?
This is my first convention. So I'm very happy to be here and meet you guys. I will be signing autographs officially tonight at 8:30, but you can always find, if you see me around, I'll sign whatever you got, so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, any questions? I'm sure you guys probably have a lot on your minds as far as...
I want to kick it off because I don't think, people often ask how it felt to be part of the game and how it felt to get cast, but I don't think this specific question is asked, and I'd like to hear your guys' answers. What was it like just realizing that you were on a launch day, first party Nintendo console game that ended up winning so many awards, like so many Game of the Year awards, like being considered the first Zelda game to beat Ocarina of Time in terms of review scores and overall audience reception? Like, how did that feel to be part of such a monumental aspect of Nintendo's legacy?
I've never won the lottery before. And I probably never will. But I imagine it would be close to like having a winning lottery ticket and like walking away a millionaire. Like, I think it's that same sense of like shock and pleasant surprise and all those emotions that go into like what a life-changing experience it has been. And so being able to go to the Video Game Awards, being able to, be a part of like this monumental, Nintendo franchise that I've grown up playing has been just absolutely tremendous. And we kind of talked about this a little bit last night, where, you kind of feel the weight and the pressure. And everybody at Nintendo was super, super cool working with us and directing us and the producers and all that. I would say the pressure that we felt, and we talked about this, was 100% self-inflicted, where it's like, oh, okay, we know the expectations that come along with a game, a new installment in this franchise. So, you don't want to disappoint the gamers and the fans and people that grew up playing this franchise alongside us. So, you really, really want to bring it. And, it was just like, yeah, just like...
It's also the lasting power too, because I mean, when we think of Breath of the Wild, that was 6 years ago at this point, and I still talk to at least one person a month who's like, I just started Breath of the Wild, like I don't want to touch Tears of the Kingdom until I finish it. And it's in an industry where it's like games are out for 2-3 months and then they're old news and everyone's moved on to the next thing. To have something like that just still be as relevant as it is all these years later is crazy to me. It's simply crazy to me.
Well, and like, let's be real, Nintendo is very protective of their properties, rightfully so. So when you have a franchise like this that like they were trying voice acting for the first time, they're sort of dipping their toe into that realm. You know, you look at things that are done by Xbox and PlayStation on a regular basis, and everything is fully immersive, very cinematic, you know, full-on performed, you know, realized scripts. And Nintendo has been very hesitant to go that route. And so, again, you really have to bring it because you want to make sure that they feel that their choice was the right one. You don't want to set them back as far as the voice acting is concerned another 10 or 20 years. So there's that added pressure that goes along with it.
I'm so glad that for the remake of Thousand Year Door that they're bringing Chris Pratt back as Mario. Amelia, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I agree about there was definitely an immense amount of pressure, but I think initially there was definitely, for me as an actor, after struggling for so long, a sense of validation as well that came with getting cast in this, followed by the tremendous responsibility to do it right and to, okay, I got it, now I gotta step up and deliver. But thankfully we had great directors, we had an awesome cast, and we just, the whole team came together to really deliver. And Nintendo, is that me?
I don't know.
I
Amelia.
just think Nintendo really put the fans first.
I have said it time and time again, and Joe can vouch for me, that part of why I'm so excited for you to finally be at one of these events is because I was there witnessing the feedback, both positive and negative, that was being given about our initial performances, and I genuinely believe you, of all folks, were one of the greatest improvements between the original recordings and the DLC. Like, when I heard your performance in DLC, and especially Age of Calamity, I was blown the fuck away. That's my one fuck for the panel. Damn it! I said it twice. I was blown away by how much you had grown as an actress already, and I felt it was so unfair that you didn't get the chance to get the proper, like, response and accolade for how hard you had worked. So I'm so grateful that I get to say it here now in front of these people and have you experience just how much your performance is enjoyed.
Woo!
I mentioned it a little bit last night, but I feel like we kind of embody our characters personality-wise. I think there's, you know, we're pretty close to the characters that we play, I think. You know,
I'm definitely a bottom like Revali.
I'm just saying, like, I'm a dad. I've got 2 kids at home, so like, there's a very dad-like quality that I bring to a Daruk, you know, and just that sort of lovable, you know, fatherly vibe. And so for me, that was a very easy thing to tap into. And you know, you bring the lovely, like, the delicacy and like just that grace, that Mipha's grace to your character. But it's just like, I think we all do a great job of representing our characters and just in our own natural personality.
I agree. I mean, that is part of acting, is bringing a part of yourself, right? Substitution. Even if you haven't been in the situation, you find a situation similar in your life to relate to.
What was impressive in your case is there's lots of tropes of characters that have like crushes on other characters who go like almost stalkery, creepy vibes with it. It is very difficult to play a character who is like, they have a crush on someone or they have feelings for them, but they show it in kind of like a meek, vulnerable state, and you handled that so well. Like, it was cute the way that she was nervous around him, and I think you handled that very well. But to agree with what Joe said in a more serious light, you know, the more I think about it, the more that I realize I do vibe with Revali's sense of like, once he trusts that you're serious about it, like that you have the capabilities to do what's being asked of you, he will back you up. He will be in your corner. But he is not that person that's just gonna be like, oh, you've been assigned as my superior, sure, I'm gonna blindly follow you. until he knows that he's not throwing his life away being in your service, you haven't earned his respect yet. So I just think it's cool that he is an asshole, let's be real. But he's an asshole with a purpose. So.
If you go back and watch the very end of that Champions Ballad DLC where we're all taking that picture together, I feel like it's a very short spot, but you notice so much nuance between all of the characters. You know, there's that moment where Princess Zelda's kind of looking away and Mipha kind of just inches a little bit closer and closer to Link. You know, and everybody's just kind of like crowding up, and then finally we take that photo, and you know, Daruk comes in and gives that, you know, big giant bear hug, which I think it just embodies all of our personalities and characters so well.
I cry every time I look at that picture.
And I mentioned it a little bit last night, but for me at that point it was a very cathartic moment because that was the last time that we had recorded that was the last thing that I had recorded for the DLC, and up until that point in time, we don't know if they're going to make a sequel. We don't know what else is coming down the pipeline. You know, Hyrule Warriors wasn't even a thing at that point. So for us as actors, it's almost as if you're saying goodbye to the character as well. And again, for these characters that you become so attached to and so invested, just as the players are, you know, we're invested with these characters by bringing their voices to life. So. You know, it can be a little bittersweet sometimes.
There's also that moment of celebration of like recognizing that we as the cast had made it through, you know, like that we made it from start to finish. We didn't get recast along the way, which is a thing that happens. You know, sometimes with that picture, I'm like Wolverine sitting in bed, just looking at it lovingly going, I miss them, you know.
Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, please.
All right, I saw the person, you raised your hand first, go ahead.
Green.
Yep.
Me?
Yeah.
So did you ever get to meet any of the Japanese production team during the process of the dubbing? And what was that experience like if you did?
That doesn't, and it does happen from time to time, and I do think nowadays a lot of companies are more interested in kind of doing that kind of crossover, like having the celebs meet the celebs. It's not very common in the industry though. Usually it's only going to happen if they happen to be at the same event together, like if they're doing a massive like showcasing of a really big show, like something like My Hero or Jujutsu Kaisen might be likely to have something like that just because of how big a market impact it has had. But I don't believe any of us have had the opportunity. Obviously, you know, we would love the chance to get to see what they think of our performance, and we also do our best to honor at least a little bit the performance that we're listening to. But I even think, like, when I was dubbing the scene, I don't really think I got to hear the Japanese at all either. It was, we got the lip flaps, we got the subtitles, but that was about... Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, I was playing off the Japanese the whole time.
Okay.
But that's probably just because of where our sessions
I think with me, they were like, there's no way you're going to be nearly as good, so we're just not even going to pretend.
You actually reminded me of something that happened when we were working on Tears of the Kingdom. I'm sure at one point you heard that there were some leaks that had gone out about the game.
People leaking Nintendo games?
Yes, I know, it happens. But the leaks specifically came from like some of the Italian voice actors, if I remember correctly. Specifically, the Daruk Yunobo voice actor. So we would be working on Tears of the Kingdom, and they were super secretive and super like just minimalistic as far as the context and the backstory. And then come to find out that it was Daruk's Yunobo's other voice actor. And I was like, oh man, are they like singling me out? Like, do they think I'm gonna leak stuff? Like, you know, is it a Goron thing? Like, what is it? So, that was that.
I remember that too, because I was like, man, I really hope it doesn't come back and get you in trouble, because the way that a lot of companies will handle leaks, if it's egregious enough, sure, they'll sue your ass in court. Yes. But in most cases, companies don't want to make a big deal out of it and like cause the Barbra Streisand effect. So what they'll simply do is, well, we can't trust this person with any confidential information anymore, so we're just not going to work with them ever again. And we would never find out about that, because instead of telling us, we're not going to work with you because you did this, they just will never accept anything from us anymore, and we never find out. So we basically live in constant fear of of saying too much or saying the wrong thing or God forbid we are led into thinking that a piece of news is public info that isn't. Like, God forbid we're like, oh, I can talk about my role now because people are talking about it. Oh, that was because of leaks that came out 2 weeks ago, and now I've basically confirmed it, and the ninja's already behind us with the katana to our neck going, I'm so sorry. So
I'm curious to ask both of you guys, because the experience working from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, they were super secretive the second time around. At least that's what my experience was, is that they did not provide as much backstory or as much detailed story plot lines. We kind of only just got our scripts for our specific scenes. And I mentioned it yesterday, but Jamie is one of the best. Jamie Mortellaro, he directed Breath of the Wild. He is one of the absolute best directors when it comes to giving you your character's backstory, your mother's character's backstory, your mother's sister's roommate's character, like just deep into the lore and the story of what is going on, so that you as an actor can make the best educated decision for your performance.
he is side on, personified, like straight up, he is.
And so going into Tears of the Kingdom, we had a different director this time around, and again, I felt like Nintendo was very, trying to stick to spoilers from getting out, and just trying to kind of, put the hatch down on that sort of thing.
We had to actually solve a test of strength before we could get the next line.
But, and so as an actor, you try to get as much context as you possibly can, so you ask questions. Hey, what's my relationship with this person? Where's my headspace? What am I feeling? What am I going through right now? And so, how much time has passed since I last saw this person? Am I happy to see them? Am I angry to see them? Am I being mind controlled? I don't know. But, so things like that happen. And so, again, they were so restrictive on, like, oh, we don't want to spoil anything, that sometimes I felt like I was being a pest. And I don't know if you felt the same
There was
way.
a moment where it felt like...
Yeah, I got like 20 emails, I think, in a row from the studio. Just make sure you don't say anything. Just make sure. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. It was like, okay, I'm not, after a while.
They weren't that protective over email, but when I would try to get additional information during the session, it did feel like I was professionally being told, just watch the scene. Just do your job.
You want to know a story?
Yes.
I have a story.
Do you guys want to know a story?
So again, this all happened kind of during COVID times. So we're all working from home. I have my home studio that I'm working on, in my little closet that I've converted. That's all soundproof and all that stuff. And so I was working on Tears of the Kingdom one day, and during one of our breaks, I happened to just look at Twitter, and I see a friend of mine, Heather Gonzalez, who, she's working on something. She's like, oh, I arrived at the studio like an hour early. Oh, what am I going to do? And it's like, oh, okay, or whatever. You just kind of, let me get back to work, and we started working and all that stuff. And so at one point, we're in the middle of my session, and the engineer says to the director, yeah, Heather's here an hour early. And she voices Minoru, who at that point, I didn't know who she was voicing. I didn't know any of that stuff. But yeah, Heather's here. She's waiting in the lobby. She's a little bit early. And I was like, oh, do you mean Heather Gonzalez? And like I could feel like I don't know, maybe I cannot confirm nor deny it. So but it was fun. I had a good laugh.
I cringed for you. I thought you were meaning like you announcing the actor name was like a sign that you knew something you weren't supposed to know.
I did, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I wasn't supposed to know that.
Okay, cool. All right.
I thought you were going to say she got in trouble for her Twitter post or something.
No,
I was
but
waiting for that.
She never specified which studio or what project or anything like that. So it was like, okay.
Oh.
Straight up, you people are fucking crazy, okay? I remember the story. There was the dude who just took a selfie outside of the Warner Brothers lot, and it had the Warner Brothers tower in the background. And because of the actor, the timing, and a recent news article, just off of that selfie of the water tower, fans correctly figured out that they were reprising a role in a franchise, and that they were coming in to record for that. And I don't think they got recast, but they got in deep trouble for it.
Didn't they do that with Ganondorf during some of the trailer spots where they were able to show by some of the landscape, he's at this specific spot Like,
Oh yeah, like I remember the meme of like Zelda's like, Link, you must find me, and they're like, she's here. Like, they put a little geocache pin on the map. It's like based on the trajectory of the mountains and the distance to the cliffside, and here she is, right there.
I thought those trees looked familiar. So, yeah.
Deeker Tree going, Jesus Christ.
Did you have a question? I thought you had your hand up.
Yeah, okay, so if you could give any of your characters like an It's Morbin Time-esque catchphrase, what would it be? Very me-worthy catchphrase.
Choke on my caca. You might want to mute that part of the video.
Gargle this marble.
I don't understand.
If you could have a cringe phrase that your character says before they basically beat up a bad guy, what would they say?
Oh.
I like when she said it's Mipha time and meefed all over that guy.
I'm ready to be memed. I don't know.
Next question.
Alright, bye.
Anybody else with a question? No? In the back.
Were there any specific scenes that you voiced in that like really made you emotional or cry when you were doing it?
Scenes that we recorded that made us cry.
Yeah.
When I had to say the line, "Good luck sealing the darkness," because I had to do 27 takes of that line before I finally got it. No, this is actually true. No, this is the true story. So that is the one line that I struggled with, was because Revali's taking off, and it's this very brief section that he's on the screen. So we were trying, "Good luck sealing the darkness. Good 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 luck sealing the darkness." Great story, Mark. Anyway, so we had like 25, 27 different takes of this line before they finally got one that they liked. Fast forward to E3, when they were doing the big trailer, the hype trailer that was getting everyone psyched up, and you hear everyone's English voices in the trailer, and then it shows the scene of Revali jumping into the air, and he goes, that was the Japanese audio. So literally everyone else was heard in that trailer except for me. And I went, what was the goddamn point?
I had a similar experience for something that I didn't voice, or for Tears of the Kingdom. They went out of their way to show like all of the other sages, and they like really tried to hide Yunobo. And so again, your mind starts to play tricks on you, and you start thinking like, did I get recast? Like, why are they not showing Yunobo?
It's
like,
never official until we hear ourselves in the
What did
final
I do?
product.
Because like they went out of their way to not show him, and so you just start kind of like getting in your head and like, oh wow, like did I screw something up? Like, do they hate me? Are they like, I don't know what's going on. So that was something that kind of messes with you a little bit, because you put so much energy and time and effort and love into like voicing a character like this, and then for them to like not show him or not like give anything away, and I get it, it's very plot sensitive, but it's just like, it is such a blow. And I know that they wanted to try to preserve the story as much as they can. So when the game came out, in an attempt to kind of keep that going, I actually did not say who I voiced. I wanted the players to find and discover the plot points for themselves. So you kind of have to respect the process a little bit. So there's that.
Does it suck when you voice like a major villain? I'm sorry, I talked over you. Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, does it suck when you happen to voice like a major villain or like a twist villain, and then the game comes out and you can't exactly go, "Hey guys, I'm in this game as the final boss." Like, hope you enjoyed playing 80 hours to get to the final boss.
And again, I had to clarify with them, because I was like, hey, you guys aren't showing any Yunobo. Should I even say anything? Like, should I just keep my mouth shut?
Right.
Like, and so they were like, it's up to you if you want to say anything. So it was just kind of weird.
Mipha has so many emotional scenes. I mean, can I say stuff about the game? Like, are we gonna do
Spoiler
spoilers?
alert.
Okay, well, she's dead in the first one. So.
No way!
I didn't get to start the game yet, asshole. I'm sorry, that was the Japanese audio.
But the most emotional part, scene that I got kind of teary-eyed in was Age of Calamity, actually.
Yeah.
And it was right before Mipha's about to die, and she knows it. And she's like, we're gonna fight, all right, this is what I came here to do. And she's like completely ready to give her life for the cause. And then Sidon pops in, and I was like, holy shit! Like in the booth, I was like, oh my god, that's amazing! And I just remember getting so emotional at that moment, just like, oh, this is so great.
I wish I could pay money to hear a dub of that scene where Mipha goes, I'm ready. Holy shit! I would pay Nintendo to just have a scene where Revali goes, oh, fuck.
Make another version of the name. That was such a great moment. I mean, I wish they could have just like put some swear words in there. No, Revali had.
Yunobo gets one. He gets one.
Because I'd be like, darn. Darn it.
No, but I would, it's similar to what you kind of mentioned, Age of Calamity, when the game's over and where everybody's saying their goodbyes, and to have Daruk and Yunobo wish each other goodbye was actually a little sentimental. Like there was some feels going on there where it's like, oh gosh, and like I said, you don't know if you're saying goodbye to these characters permanently, so it's like, gosh, so you do have those moments.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even in the first one when Jamie was, because you said like he gives so much backstory, when he was talking about the relationship between Mipha and Link and how she basically had to accept that she was never going to be loved by him. And she had to put her duty before her relationship and her feelings. Like that for me, like, pulled at my heartstrings a lot for that character. Yeah, there's so many great moments that Nintendo just really did well and thought so thoroughly about in these characters to bring them to life and give them such amazing stories, I think. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes.
Do you have any favorite and or least favorite aspects of your characters?
I thought you were going to say actors.
Of each other.
Yeah, Raposa didn't even show up to this panel. Favorite and or least favorite aspects of our characters?
Yes.
There's a scene that I remember when, I think it was in Age of Calamity, when they're walking through the forest with Hestu, and Revali is just kind of really laying on the sass about like, if we wanted to be stealthy, I imagine we wouldn't have a giant 5-foot tree person walking through and stomping around. Like, could you please stop playing those maracas, And I kind of vibe with that, where it's like, so if we're trying to accomplish A, why the hell are you doing B right now? Like, I just think that's really entertaining. In terms of least favorite aspect, I don't like people who die. That seems a little inefficient to me. I think he would have been much better if he had not died. So maybe when they bring him back as the lead role in Breath of the Wild 3, we can rectify that. It's the untold story. It's like Lion King 1.5.
I loved Mipha. I think that a lot of young girls are brought up to believe that you have to make a choice between being feminine or being a tomboy. You have to be either feminine or masculine. And feminine's looked at as weak and masculine's looked at as strong. And I thought she was this combination of both. And I was really proud to play that character for that simple reason of representing somebody that shows you can be strong and you can be feminine. You can wear the heels and the dress and you can be really good with a sword. You can have both. And I just thought that she was the perfect role model in that sense. I mean, her voice kind of drove me nuts. that was something that I was playing with in the audition, and then they liked it and kept it, and I was like, all right. But, you know, but it works for her. So.
She's one of the best characters in Age of Calamity. Like, her ability to just, like, beat the crap out of an enemy and then, like, zip warp to the next one is so good.
Gosh, I don't think there's anything that I dislike about my characters. I love it all. I mean, I almost want to say I wish that Yunobo didn't get, like, mind controlled and was, like, suddenly changed into a luchador. / drug kingpin. But I can't say that I don't like that part, because it was actually pretty fun exploring the evil side of Yunobo. Like, that was like, because he's such this like pure-hearted character, and he doesn't have a mean bone in his body. And so yes, the only way that we could theoretically even go there was if he was being possessed or mind controlled. So it's like, okay, yeah, let's roll with it. Like it to me, it added a very interesting like layer or wrinkle or dimension to his character, where it's like, what does evil Yunobo sound like? And that was something that I hadn't even thought of even exploring. And so until we got there, I was like, oh, okay, let's see what an evil Yunobo might act like, what he sounds like, and where we go from there. And one of the things that I really, really enjoyed was his trajectory from Breath of the Wild to where we see him in Tears of the Kingdom. You know, when we meet him in the first game, he's extremely, unsure of himself. He's lacks so much confidence, and he's such a scaredy cat, to where we see him now, and he's the leader of the Gorons, and like there's more confidence, he's more sure of himself, and I love that we were able to have that arc that is spanned over these games now, where it's a lot more realized. So yeah, that was something that I loved. As far as Daruk goes, I really don't have anything. I mean, okay, yeah, he's afraid of dogs, but what are you gonna do?
We got about 25 minutes just to...
Questions?
There we got some hands. Go over here.
What's your favorite part of the game that you guys voice acted?
Favorite part of the game that we voiced? I mean, I'm glad it wasn't played, because I haven't touched it at all. Favorite part of the game that we voice acted? For me, mine's a bit of a broad answer, but so I grew up on Dynasty Warriors. Like, I enjoy strategic games, I enjoy those other games, but sometimes you just want to mindlessly hack and slash through groups of 700 soldiers and get that one rare weapon drop that does even more damage and try the cool skills. So, as Joe had mentioned earlier, when we finished up Breath of the Wild, none of us had any concept that they were going to make another Dynasty Warriors, much less one focused specifically in Age of Calamity, or focused on the cast of Breath of the Wild, especially because we already had the definitive edition of the original Hyrule Warriors, and I'm pretty sure there's people in this room who have been playing that game nonstop who still aren't done with all the content that's in it. So, when they announced Age of Calamity, and I learned that not only was I coming back as the two birds I love so much, but that they were both playable, and that Teba is a beast when it comes to fighting bosses, I was over the moon. I was like, yeah, I get to say all these cringy cool phrases that you're gonna hear 1,000 times. Like, I was overjoyed by the fact that I would get to play as the character that I had just voiced for the previous game, and like step into their shoes and do all their cool abilities, and that was the highlight for me.
Yeah, I have to agree. It was really fun being able, I mean, we did a lot of the cutscenes obviously for Breath of the Wild, but being able to explore the action portion of it in Age of Calamity, to me, was really appealing. That was something that we hadn't done before, and so being able to do the power-ups and the specials and the attacks and the, all of that stuff, I thought was really cool. And it just sort of rounded out the characters and like gave them a new dimension. So
when we talk about the camaraderie, the coolest part of that for me was, this is something that didn't happen in Breath of the Wild, was whenever the player would change characters, or
switch out.
We do a little switch out. So Revali going, Urbosa, and then eventually saying weird stuff like Ganondorf, like stuff. It was cool getting to like pass the baton.
The actions definitely, especially from Breath of the Wild to Age of Calamity. But I really enjoyed playing the Sage of Water and Tears of the Kingdom, simply because I got to tell the entire the history of what happened, and I just found that to be, for an actor, that was very theatrical, Shakespearean, to be able to say, to act in that manner.
I didn't know when I was doing my session, I didn't know that they were going to have me voice the Sage of the Gorons, the Sage of Fire. So they're like, you know, we're bringing you back as a Sage on top of being Yunobo. I was like, oh, okay. Is it like Daruk? Is it like Daruk-esque? Like, no, we don't want Daruk. We want something, you know, something different. He's his own character, different. It's like, oh, okay. And so you just kind of roll with it on the fly, and it's like, let's try this. Let's try, you know, what would an ancestor of the Goron sound like? And so
Yeah.
you kind of just experiment on the fly, and, you know, fortunately they liked it, so, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
They were like, Sean, we need you to voice another character, and I'm like,
Birdman.
I know. I was like, I've already voiced like 3 guys. I don't know if I can make them sound different. It's another bird. Go on. So, I hope that answered your question. I saw we had some other hands raised. Raise them back up. You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two-part question.
All right.
Are y'all Legend of Zelda fans? And if so, what was the game that made you?
Oh, I hate the franchise. Who plays that shit? All right. Are we? What was the second one?
And what was your favorite game?
For me, it was Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. I played that nonstop. I struggled so much, I asked the regional manager of an Art Van furniture store for help. I played the remake when they did the cool little Switch remake in like claymation. I cried when I beat it without dying and got like the perfect credit scene and stuff like that. The song stuck in my head. It's been very meaningful to me. It has kept me entertained through many. That was the game that before the backlighting was a thing that I'd be like holding it up to the street lights like every 3 seconds. You're all too young to know what I'm talking about. So
For me, it was Ocarina of Time.
Pretend I don't understand.
And it's almost a tie between Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker, because up until that point, and I mentioned this last night, you know, I grew up, my brother's a little bit older, so he hogged the NES, he hogged the SNES. So the N64 was really the system that I had that was exclusively all to myself. So being able to like play and like actually spend all that time with the game uninterrupted without having to share with an older brother was a lot of fun. And just being able to get lost in the sort of open worldness, even though it wasn't entirely open world, but like as open world as you can get for something at that time was just awesome. I mean, Wind Waker, being able to explore and like the animation style was just freaking beautiful. I loved it. I fell in love with that, you know.
I've never played Zelda. I had a Sega Genesis. I played Sonic the Hedgehog. And I played like the Oregon Trail.
So both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask made me cry for completely separate reasons. Ocarina of Time, these are both true. Ocarina of Time, the evening after I beat it, I woke up sobbing my eyes out at like 2:30 in the morning, and I was like a 10, 11-year-old kid. My dad comes in the room, like, I'm sobbing so hard he thinks I like violently threw up or something like that. And he's like, are you okay? Imagine being my dad, who has no knowledge of the game that I just beat, trying to console his son while he goes, why did Navi leave Link after everything that they did together? They had so much time and she just freaking goes up! Who does that? Like, I was so upset that Navi just was like, our adventure's done. Bye! Majora's Mask is a totally different reason, because my dad and I bonded over playing that. And at one point, we're all familiar with Princess Ruto, right? And how she's down bad for Link on a lot of the time. So there's one part where you're doing the side quest where you have to collect the eggs that Princess Ruto has that have like kids in them. She's like, I don't want the babies to die. And me, being my smarmy like early teen self, I'm like, I know how those eggs got there. I said that like John Mulaney just now. And my dad doubles down and goes, so tell me. And I go, what? And he goes, pause the game and tell me how they got there. Do you know how those would get there? And I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. He's like, I'm not letting you play until you do. And this turned into like a 3-minute argument that ended with me sobbing on the couch, being like, she didn't say so yes!
I also sobbed playing Majora's Mask, or not playing Majora's Mask, because we didn't have an expansion pack, because we were poor. The end. So yeah, I never got a chance to play Majora's Mask. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I have a question of if there was a favorite effort sound that you made for your character.
Revali using cryo. Cool down. Screw you, Revali.
Just the general, like, kind of using the rock biter, the rock, just that's fun.
I really like swinging the weapon as you in Agent Calamity, just feeling the power behind each swing.
Yeah, that's fun.
I don't remember Mipha having. I don't remember.
My favorite for you was when we would switch over to you and you just said like, allow me. You were like you were taking the mantle of being the leader, and I really liked how you delivered those lines.
At the end of the day, when you're doing efforts, it's almost like a kid playing pretend, where you're just like playing cops and robbers in the backyard and just playing, Ninja Turtles and let's just have as much fun as we possibly can.
But it could get really technical at times too,
Yeah.
because, for example, I explained this during the panel yesterday, there were times when the line was, he's prepping to do a special attack, and the line is, how about this? And they have already specified that they cannot change the text. It has to be the words, how about this? But they say it has to be between 0.3 and 0.5 seconds long. It cannot be shorter than 0.3, it cannot be longer than 0.5. There is very limited windows of how you can deliver the line, how about this? You have to be able to match it within that. I know, how about this? Let me, So sometimes it wasn't even about having fun. It was just like, did I say it fast enough? Do I have to do it faster? There was some times where it was yeah. So
yeah, I mean when you're working on a project that originates from Japan or Korea and a video game or an anime or anything like that, you are beholden to the original source materials line and that actor's delivery. So again, sometimes you're speaking in a manner or a speed or an inflection that you ordinarily would not be speaking. And so it's very difficult from a performer standpoint because now you're not, it's more about the timing and the technicality and threading the needle through that small window of time, as opposed to, I want to take my time and give the performance that I want to give to you have half a second to say all these words.
Yeah. You guys, did this happen to you? They had somebody from Nintendo that was there while I was in the booth that was rewriting lines.
Sometimes.
Sometimes because it didn't, the English translation wouldn't work for the mouth flap. So they had to rewrite on the spot something that would work with the mouth.
I mean, again, you translate something, but some things work better on paper than they do in a practical sense. So yeah, I mean, you quickly realize there's no way that we're going to be able to get this window of dialogue through this time of that we have to deliver this line. So yeah, they will do rewrites on the fly.
My favorite moment is because as we get more experience in this, sometimes we will kind of get a sense of, we hear the reference and we look at the line and we're like, that's not going to fit. So we will always give it as performed, but then usually if we feel confident enough, we may, on the second or third take, give our own revised version of the line to make it fit within that. And anytime that I would do the revised version without asking permission, they're like, does that third one fit? All right, we'll change it to that instead. And I'm like, yeah, you will.
So that actually happened to me on Breath of the Wild, at one point where they were trying to fit something and rewrite something within the window, and it's you don't want to be seen as difficult. It's how about we try this?
It's about understanding your audience and your client.
Again, you don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. You don't want to, But so again, you kind of have to be diplomatic about it, and sometimes you have to wait for them to realize, hey, what if we do this? And also, you're getting paid by the hour, so you could just sit back and let them, figure it out while you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who else? Yeah, red hair.
This isn't exactly a question, if that's okay.
Then forget you. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So you know how in Ocarina of Time, when you use the pink fairies to restore your heart, they eventually kind of just die out.
Whoa, spoilers. When you use the pink fairies to heal, they just kind of die out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they've served their purpose and all that.
Wow, dark.
There's a theory for Ocarina of Time about how Navi was supposed to be Link's guide for the story, and since the story had
Don't you do this to me. This is called childhood trauma. That doesn't make me relive it.
There's a theory that since Navi's like purpose had been fully carried out, that
Since you asked this question and I answered it, does that mean your purpose has been fulfilled? You want to come up here and I'll take care of the rest of your lifespan, however shortly it's going to be?
But the theory is that she like kind of took off and left.
I know, I watched it happen. Go ahead.
But the reason why was that so he wouldn't have to see it.
So you can't see what's going on underneath here, but Sean is in the fetal position. I wish I could tell you that was an exaggeration, but it's not.
It's so much quieter now.
Good luck sealing the darkness.
Next yes, you in the back with the hair. Yes.
Okay, so my question is, when you would get in the booth and like get warmed up and you'd like have to get into the voice, was there any lines that kind of helped you like find the voice when you would like start recording?
Jamie gives me so much shit for this because I have two. I say these for specific reasons. I say, I understand what you're trying to say because it's a bunch of different vowels and I wanted to see how the mouth shapes hit. And then I also say, of course it makes perfect sense because you have O, A, E. But I do it all the time. So I have clients that will, lovingly make fun of me. I'm like, I understand what you're trying to say. He's like, yeah, of course, it makes perfect sense. Shut up! So,
you just kind of get lower and like, great job. The laugh. It's the laugh. The belly laugh. The that helps kind of just get you set in place. Not to go off on a completely like crazy tangent or anything, but working from home on Hyrule Warriors. That was like that first summer of COVID.
I didn't realize people did home recording.
Yes, I'm all about home recording. But like during COVID, everybody was working from home, and so I'm in my little tiny booth, and we're revising, we're bringing back Daruk and Yunobo and everything, and this is in like the middle of July or August when temperatures were like 100 and some odd degrees in my little tiny closet that doesn't have any sort of like ventilation or airflow or anything like that, and we would do like 4-hour sessions. And so as time would go on, it just got hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. And so, sort of like in Ace Ventura 2, when he's in the rhinoceros machine, like you turn on a fan and you do whatever you can, but at a certain point in time, articles of clothing start to come off. It is just a basic survival instinct where it's like, all right, I gotta shed this, gotta take off that. And at a certain point in time, I realized that I was basically wearing the same outfit as Daruk. his little tiny whiteys. And, at a certain point, you just accept your lot in life and suffer for your art, and you just go with it.
Of you standing.
No, you don't. You don't. Nobody wants that.
So he's a method voice actor.
Oh, we got very method that time.
I mean, Mac is the climate of death metal as well.
The what?
Yes.
Mac is the climate of death.
Oh.
Exactly.
Mipha was also laughing and a lot of, not like a specific line, but like my voice is lower, so I was just kind of, like doing that kind of thing, like then finding the breathiness. So just making it more and more breathy.
We have about 8 more minutes, which is just enough time to speed run Breath of the Wild. So I saw you kind of. Yeah, what's up?
What's your favorite species from like all the Zelda franchise?
What's my favorite species?
Yeah.
Dad. Cass, Hearth, Teba, the list goes on and on. Dads.
I know it's really easy to say the Gorons, but I know I'm biased, but if we're going to pick outside of that, I would go with the Gerudo.
Yeah.
I like Naruto's too, but the Zoras.
My favorite species is beetle. Thank you. Goodbye. No, that or the dude who lets you in Wind Waker, who lets you play Battleship, where he goes.
That's Lineback.
Lineback?
Yeah, Lineback.
Is that really Lineback?
Isn't that him?
The guy who goes sploosh. Kaboom.
Is that's Lineback,
Like PTSD
right?
from that guy.
Am I wrong? Okay, I'm wrong.
Yeah, I thought Lineback was the gay train conductor. So, all right.
Next question. Yes.
Do you have a favorite iteration of the species, of the Goron or the Naruto?
I mean, I'm biased, but I'm going to say Breath of the Wild. You know, who cares about, you know, Darude and all the other Gorons that came. No, but it's so funny. I remember playing, I can't remember if it was Wind Waker or Ocarina of Time, where as a kid, I was so fascinated by the Gorons. And I remember going and doing that portion of the quest line. And like, I even remember the music that played. And I was just boom, 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 boom. And I was just, you know, the little dance that they do and everything. Like, I freaking loved it. And so, how do you not love Gorons? And again, never in a million years would I have ever in my life imagined that I could have been. I'm a freaking Goron champion. I'm a sage. So I mean, it's dream come true.
The Zora in Majora's Mask kind of hit different. Like, I liked the rock band Zora that were like playing the instruments, and I'll be real, when Link had his transformation into like the teen body Zora, I was like, okay, how do I get that for me?
I have no answer on that one. I'm sorry.
We got 5 minutes. You. Oh, I thought you raised your hand. Anybody else? Go ahead, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Thank you so much. This is kind of, so it's kind of a two-question, because if you don't have an answer for the first one, that's fine. But do you guys have like a favorite boss? Or if you played it as a kid, do you have anything that scared you? Because the first boss in Wind Waker scared me so bad I had to like hide in my room while my dad fought it for me.
The scariest boss for me was the Shadow Temple in post Ganon takeover in Ocarina of Time. Just like the disembodied hands. You're gonna think this is the coolest shit ever. This is 100% true. The coolest dream I ever had was a full first-person reenactment of the Shadow Temple. Like, I was traveling through the Shadow Temple, like sidling along the walls, hopping across the platforms, dodging the hands, it was all in first person. And I've never had a dream like that since. It was so cool.
That's horrifying.
What was the question again? Is there a villain?
If you have a favorite boss battle, or if you played it as a kid, did you have any that kind of freaked you out a little bit?
Not freaked out. I mean, as weird as it sounds, whenever I play one of my friends in Smash Brothers and he's Ganondorf, he's a pain in the ass to play against. I'm sorry, but Ganon is so freaking OP. It's like, it's not even fair. Like, I'm over here playing Wario, trying to beat, win a game, and it's like, dude, really? Like, with that reach? Like, come on. Get out of here.
I was actually being kind of new to the Zelda thing. I was surprised at how violent some of the cutscenes were. I was like, wow, I mean, what's the age range for this game?
Right.
I mean, Ocarina of Time had like, and this is an interesting one, in the original release of Ocarina of Time, there's the point where like after you beat Ganondorf the first time, he coughs on blood.
Yes.
In the original, it was red, but in later versions, it's green.
The dude had too much clown sludge. Danganronpa death going on over here. We got 2-3 minutes. Yeah, I think we got time for 1 or 2 more. But
what's the meaning of life?
Me too.
Sealing the darkness.
2? Yes.
Have you played either Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess?
I missed out on those games. Where was I at when those games came out? I think I was in college.
I was in college.
Yeah, I like there's this weird just blank period that I didn't play video games, unfortunately, because I was in college and I was too busy doing that. So Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess are the 2 games that I did not play. Like, again, for me, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, and like that is sort of like the timeline as to when I graduated from high school and got into college, and like
there was like no fun for Joe. Like it just didn't happen. Like video games like didn't exist.
Twilight Princess. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't play Zelda, so.
Twilight Princess was about, I got about halfway through Twilight Princess, and then college exams got really intense, and I fell off the boat. So I didn't finish Twilight Princess, ended up skipping all of Sword. And then I think the game after that is when I finally started to pick back up. So college was important, you know? We wanted to get our degrees, we wanted to graduate. I knew that once I moved out to California, I wasn't really going to have a chance to go back and try again, so that took priority.
Can't stay in school. Yes.
Last one.
If you had to live in either Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, where would you want your house to be? Like, what area? There's the different, like, terrains, and then there's, like, the different, like, you know, like, Resort Kingdom versus, like, you know.
Right next to a shrine so I could charge tourism fees.
Just like the Hyrule Plains, it's so beautiful and lush and green and like, yeah, sure, rocks fall from the sky, but
Green, plains,
yeah,
water, sword area.
Yeah.
Water.
Yeah, how you feeling?
How am I feeling? I'm feeling it's a great time to come to our tables and buy our merchandise! Seriously, go support Amelia. I don't know the next time she's going to be at one of these, but it's been a great time. Come support Joe, because he's incredible and he's got to look after his family. Don't support me, just go give your money to them instead. Just shitpost on me on Twitter, that's all that matters. Yeah, let's get a selfie. Oh, okay.
A picture of myself. Bring it in.
Stop blinking. All right, do we want to get one of the whole crowd? Do we want to get one back here? All right,
I've got the long arms.
on 3, 2, 1, we're going to say Navi's not dead. 3, wait, where am I? 2.